Hey guys, welcome back to another video from Quickfreeze's Game Room. Today is going to be episode 12 of Quickfreeze Versus, and today I'm going to be playing a game based on the Hell Spawn himself. That's right, Todd McFarlane's Spawn. Now, before I go any further, I just want to say that this video was a request to me by a fellow YouTuber by the name of Play Lives. Now, as I already mentioned, that Spawn was created by artist-writer Todd McFarlane and was published by Image Comics and first appeared in the issue Spawn #1 in May of 1992. Now, Spawn was very popular in the 1990s. McFarlane already enjoyed the superstar status among comic fans with his work of Spider-Man, which featured McFarlane's artist and writing. The first issue of Spawn was very popular with the sales of 1.7 million copies. However, the popularity of that issue, along with Spawn, didn't really last very long. Now, the origin of Spawn is a very tragic one, I must say. Before becoming the Hell Spawn that we all know, he was known as Al Simmons, a very gifted officer in the United States Marine Corps, where he obtained the rank of Lieutenant Colonel, which later led to joining the CIA. Al Simmons was recruited by director Jason Wynn into a special top-secret co-ops division known as the U.S. Security Group, which was basically an elite task force dealing with all domestic and all foreign situations. Now, this is where it started to go downhill for Al because he was murdered during a mission by a fellow mercenary under the orders of director Jason Wynn, and he was sent to hell. Now, he was sent to hell because Al was he was an assassin. He killed people, and he was sent to hell. Now, making a deal with the devil, Al was given powers and was able to return to Earth. And he did this for one reason only, so he could return to see his wife and daughter Cyan. So after dealing with the devil, Al Simmons was brought back to Earth as the Hellspawn, but he was brought back with very little memory and a badly burnt and disfigured body. But he had magical powers. These powers consisted of superhuman strength, super speed, agility, endurance, and the ability to heal himself. His necroplasm also gave him superpowers such as teleportation, phasing, resurrection of the dead, and necro-energy blasts, which were basically like fireballs. He could also unleash the pure fury of hell throughout his body, but this was somewhat limited. He also had the ability to feed off the evil energy of the world, including humans and dark animals, such as bats, rats, roaches, worms, insects, wolves, and snakes. And finally, he could also manipulate the elements and had the ability to fly. Now, besides all those powers, Spawn was assigned a watchdog, a hellborn demon known as the Violator. And even though the Violator watched over Spawn, guided him, he was one of Spawn's most deadly and oldest enemies. His hands were tied though because of his role, and even though he couldn't kill Spawn without an order from his superiors, his purpose was mainly to groom and prepare the young Hellspawn to serve Satan's army and to, wreak havoc on the world. Now, the Violator currently disguises himself as a clown, and this clown is a very funny clown. He's about 4 feet tall, overweight, balding man with a menacing face paint on his face, always ready with a quick, witty, but twisted insult. But that is a brief history of Todd McFarlane's Spawn. So let's get started and play this game, Spawn, for the Super Nintendo. Now, this game has continues, so as always, I'm allowing myself 10 continues to beat this game. If I have to go over 10 continues for any reason, then I failed to beat Spawn for the Super Nintendo. Once you start up the game, you get a nice animation looking over the city. And then we're introduced with the game's hero, Spawn. as he blasts right into the title screen. You get your basic choices: start game, password, or options. But let's just start the game and see what I can do. As soon as you press start, you're introduced to the game's story. The 13 children have gone missing, and one of them is Cyan, who happens to be Spawn's daughter. Spawn goes on the hunt and tracks down a local thug who happens to be involved in the children kidnapping. Unfortunately, the thug knows nothing and only tells Spawn that a new face is in town and was only paid to keep everyone out of a certain warehouse. The first thing you're going to notice is that Spawn is a simple side-scrolling beat-em-up game, and the controls are actually quite simple as well. You have 2 different kick buttons, a punch button, block, and a jump. Spawn also has more advanced moves that you can perform by inputting button combinations. Spawn can heal himself, shoot a fire blast, and do such moves such as the Tinkerbell, Firestorm, and teleportation. Now these are performed, like I said, using button combinations, much like you would see in Street Fighter. For example, you could shoot the fire blast by holding down the block button, pressing down, down right, right, and then punch button. This will fire a fireball, much like Ryu's Hadouken move. But this early in the game, those moves aren't really needed. You're just going to keep going right and punching bad guys and taking them out with a single blow. At the top of the screen, you'll see a simple yellow life bar. When you get hit, it'll go down. When it's fully depleted, that means you've lost a life. Now also at the top of the screen, you'll see 4 nines. This is your psi energy that when you use your moves such as the teleport, the fireball, or the heal, these numbers will go down. Unfortunately, I never used these moves, so I didn't determine what the value is for each move. Once you get past the thugs, you meet the game's first boss. This is the extremely powerful and quick Overkill. Now unfortunately, I didn't know how to beat this guy at first, so I kinda had a hard time. You kinda want to get in close and just hit him, but it's really hard because like I said, he is quite powerful. And unfortunately, I was unable to beat him the first time. When your life bar is depleted, that's it. You get game over and you're brought to continue screen. Once you use a continue, you'll notice at the top of the screen that one of the nines has turned into a 1, depleting much of your psi energy. Now, I didn't really use the psi energy a lot in the beginning of the game, so this didn't really affect me, and hardly I didn't even notice. But getting back to Overkill, to take down this boss, I simply just jumped and punched in the air. I kinda caught him off guard with this move. You don't really want to get in close to him on the ground, because he will block and just hit you repeatedly. When he does dash at you, just simply jump over him. And you can catch him off guard by counterattacking, but I don't recommend it. What I do recommend is just simply keep jumping in the air and pressing the punch button when he joins you. Keep doing this move and he'll eventually go down. Once you defeat him, you'll get an icon refilling your entire health. Once Overkill runs off, you're back in the alleyway fighting thugs. But these are different thugs. You got thugs with knives, and you got thugs with machine guns. The strategy really doesn't change at all, you just want to take them out with one punch. The thugs with machine guns though, you have to hit them at least twice before they go down. Once you take care of those thugs, you meet Overkill one more time. Spawn tells him to move aside so he can rescue the children, but Overkill tells him no, and he's trying to prevent Spawn from entering the warehouse. Spawn has no choice but to take Overkill down once and for all. Now this battle is pretty much like the battle before. He doesn't really change, except for one move. Overkill has this rocket punch that he'll shoot across the screen. Now this move is easily dodged just by jumping over it, just like when he dashes at you. But unfortunately, I didn't have enough life to take Overkill down, and he did kill me. Overkill's moves don't really change at all, but for some reason I was having a hard time pulling off the same strategy I was using before by jumping up in the air and pressing the punch button. The strategy I use now is I simply waited until Overkill either rushed at me or fired his rocket punch. This left Overkill wide open for me to just simply go up to him and punch him in the face. Now, I suppose I could have used these special moves to take down Overkill a lot quicker, but I find that the special moves are quite difficult to pull off, and Overkill is extremely fast and strong, so that didn't really work. So just follow the same strategy. Jump when he dashes, jump when he uses the rocket punch, and go in and punch him, and he will go down quite easily. Just like many games before, you're in a section now that you have to perform a wall jump, but in this area you're being constantly fired at by a bunch of thugs. Now this is quite difficult if you can't get the wall jump down, and unfortunately I could not, so I ended up dying using up a fourth continue. Once you make it to the top of the building, Spawn busts through the window and finds an unconscious Cyan. While holding Cyan in his arms, the anti-Spawn, the Spawn of the Heavens, Redeemer shows up and tells Spawn he can find no sanctuary in the flesh of the innocents. But Spawn does not care. Something is wrong with Cyan. Redeemer then claims he does not care about the children and will kill the children to get to Spawn. Unlike Overkill, Redeemer fights a lot more defensively by throwing all these mannequins at you. Now this is the first time in the game where I actually use Spawn's fireball move. And the reason being is that the fireball move, like I said before, is really difficult to pull off. And Redeemer, he doesn't really give you a chance to pull off the fireball move because he keeps tossing things at you. Now what I found easier to do is just simply block all the mannequins he throws at you. Yes, you'll take a little bit of damage, but you'll get to the end of the stage. Once both you and Redeemer make it to the end of the room, Redeemer will simply stand in the corner. Now he'll shoot a gigantic laser at you over and over and over again. This is his only move for this section of the fight. Now if you get hit by this laser, it's going to take a huge chunk out of your life. Now what I recommend is getting in really close and timing your jump just right so you don't get hit by the laser. When you come down, punch him once and then get ready to jump again. If you do this correctly, you should not get hit by any of the laser blasts. Do this enough times and then you'll eventually knock Redeemer out of the window. The third part of the battle, Redeemer gets a lot more aggressive, where he starts fighting like Overkill, and this was kind of a surprise to me because I ended up using a fifth continue. Now Redeemer starts getting a lot of new moves. He starts shooting star bolts, he does uppercuts, he dashes across the screen doing a slashing maneuver, and he still has the gigantic laser beam. And all these moves are easily dodged if you just learn the pattern of Redeemer. Now, I don't know what it is, but at this point of the game, I started to experience a problem with hit detection, where I was hitting Redeemer, and I thought I would connect with Redeemer, and it should have hit him, but for some reason it just wasn't connecting. I don't know if I have a bad cartridge, or there's a glitch in the game, or anything, but as you can see here, I am punching or kicking Redeemer, and it's just not doing any damage to him. So I'm just going to let this play out, and you can kind of see what I'm talking about, where I'm trying to punch Redeemer multiple times, and it's just not hitting him. As you can see, I've been trying to hit Redeemer multiple times, and some of them connect, some of them do not. Now, I've been fighting Redeemer for quite a while now, and I actually used up all 10 of my continues fighting this guy, and I was unsuccessful. So I was unable to beat Spawn for the Super Nintendo, mainly because of the hit detection when I was fighting the Redeemer boss. Okay guys, there you have it. That was Spawn for the Super Nintendo. Unfortunately, I was unable to beat this game under the 10 continue limit. But what I got out of this game, it was an okay game. It wasn't a bad game, but it wasn't a real great game. The minor enemies in the game were very easy. They were taken down with one punch. But where the game kind of shines was the boss battles. I really liked fighting Overkill and the Redeemer, but as you guys saw in the video, the hit detection, especially in Redeemer, was really, really bad, and it took up all my continues, making me fail the challenge. But would I recommend this game to anyone? Honestly, not really. Unless you're like a Todd McFarlane fan, or unless you're like a Spawn fan, then I say, yeah, go ahead, check it out. You know, like I said, it wasn't a very bad game. It was just simply okay. But anyway, you guys, that is episode 12 of Quickfreeze Versus. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. If you guys like, I am going to post a list of all my superhero games at the end of the video. So if you guys want me to do a review or a challenge, go ahead and request it. You know, I do take requests. So I just want to thank you guys for watching, and I'm just going to end the video by saying I'm Quickfreeze from Quickfreeze's Game Room, and I'm here to bring gamers together, one game at a time. Later, guys.